Hi, everyone. I'm Katie.
I'm Patrick.
This is Oscar.
And we're with Quite Incredible Books.
Woohoo! So today we're going to do a September reading wrap-up. And Patrick read more books, so he gets to start.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over the 5 books I read. 5 again, which we'll compare that with Katie's number when she gets to hers. It's actually really fun because this is our whole YouTube careers is like in this month of September. So the first book I read and I did a review on was The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin. I enjoyed it a lot. Then Strange Bird by Jeff Vandermeer, which I think I've already talked about, but I did enjoy. 26, The Year of Magical Thinking. That's 3 for this September. Which I was really impressed with. Probably my favorite book this month. Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. Then came the Quietly Pleasant Apollo 8 by Jeffrey Kluger, which detailed our first mission to the moon. We didn't land or anything, but we went around it a few times and came back. And it was a fun read. It was like your grandfather sitting down and telling you about the space program.
Yeah, Patrick had us watch half of Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It was.
It kind of revealed how little I know about space and the space program.
I know like double what I used to know.
Well, that's good.
And this is coming from a kid who went to space camp. So
yeah.
Yeah, in
more than once, right?
No, it was only once. It was a school thing. But we were there with the launch
I never
center.
thought that kids actually went to space camp. I thought it was like an advertisement for something that never actually happened.
Well, growing up, in South Florida, we were pretty close to the going up to Central Florida.
That makes sense.
And we could go.
And then your final
And my
book?
final book, which I just read, TheReluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. And this is a book that was recommended. Who is that guy? The Italian guy who reads a lot of
oh,
he's a
crapola.
booktuber, a fellow booktuber, I should say.
Shoot, I forget his name. Super cool Italian guy who's really into like American literary fiction, like experimental literary fiction.
But this is on his list of his favorite books of 2018. We watched that video almost a year ago.
I'll track it down and put it in the description.
Yeah, and this was on the list. It sounded interesting. I read it, and I actually it's a short book, but I liked it a lot. I would compare it to Vietnam Twins or Wins The Sympathizer, which won the Pulitzer I think in 2015. Mm-hmm. I would actually compare it favorably to that book because that's a book I didn't particularly enjoy. But The Reluctant Fundamentalist has an interesting voice, and it does a really good job of just being a compelling read. Like you want to know, like you don't really quite know what's happening, and it's kind of threading you along. I liked it a lot.
Wasn't the narrative structure different?
It was a one-way conversation at a cafe.
The entire
and
duration.
Part of the book is the circumstances of that conversation, like different aspects of that, and so I don't want to give anything away,
right?
But it's a one-way conversation over tea and coffee. And
the Italian guy, who I forget his channel name, he said that he thought that it was designed to piss off Americans. Do you agree or disagree?
I think he was more fair. I definitely. Yes, I agree. But I think that I didn't feel like this was just somebody with a grudge. Like this was this was somebody who came at it with a lot of thought. Like it wasn't. I didn't find it too bad.
Yeah.
Well, not that like you can be mad at America or not. Like, that's not a value judgment. But this is a book I had a fair shake at it.
Yeah, you're not like super nationalistic either, so.
I would like to say like a not nationalistic.
Right. So you're probably harder to offend.
I mean. Depends. But
I'm in about this.
Yeah, I recommend it. I guess if you're like a hardcore neoconservative person, you might find it offensive or kind of icky feeling. But it's not that. It's not that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
You're done.
Wait, no, I'm not. Wait, are we going to talk about?
No. This is a wrap up. So we're wrapping up what we've read. So. I've read 3 books. Wow.
Compared to my 5, it's pretty good though.
Again, I read less than Mr. Patrick. I read Penin, which y'all heard all about, which I liked quite a bit and would recommend to anyone who wants to just have a good time and not really go anywhere. Revolutionary Petunias, which was the poetry collection. Alice Walker, yep. And I finished The Night by Wolfe.
What did you feel about that? What do you feel about Gene Wolfe in general?
I watched some guy's review of one of his books who didn't really like the book, and I agreed with everything that he said about Gene Wolfe's work, but I still like it. It's just this weird disparity where people who are fans of Gene Wolfe say he is like one of the greatest writers of all time. And I just think that's a gross overstatement. But I do think his concepts, his fantasy concepts are really unique. And I think they're really fresh and exciting and interesting. And he does a lot of interesting things with morality and point of view and perspective. But there's a lot of extraneous detail that doesn't go anywhere. So if you're kind of someone who wants everything to tie together nicely, it's not going to happen.
I mean, 2 out of 3 books were Penin in this book, which are more meandering, it seems. Maybe you like meandering books.
Yeah, when I first picked him up, because they were saying, like, I was pretty much looking for, like, a new Lord of the Rings when I was finding Gene Wolfe. And so I was expecting that from what people are talking about. And I was like, man, this is not Lord of the Rings. Like, this dude's obsessed with sex. Like, there's all sorts of craziness happening. It's not this... I don't know. He's a weird dude.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings was a fairly sexless adventure. I don't know if it was completely.
Yeah.
The movie had some pretty racy bits.
This had a lot less sex than...
Book of the New Sun?
Than Book of the New Sun, yeah. He's
what do you like better?
Chased for his lady. I think... so far, book 1 of 2, I like The Night better.
Wow. Hot take.
5 books is a lot for a series. It's technically 4, but then the 5th one's the finisher. And the first one, wow, like just so much could have been yanked out of it.
You seem to have loved the ending of that series, though. Like, it grew as you went.
Yeah, there was, I think it was end of book 2 or maybe beginning of book 3 where my mind was a little bit blown. Yeah, it's a unique feeling reading his books. So you have to like sit with his shtick, which I guess is why people love him so much.
We watched a video of a Gene Wolfe interview at a library last night, and that guy has a sick eye patch.
Mm-hmm. One of the top comments, which I remember all the time, is I didn't know Mr. Robotnik was the greatest.
He looks like Mr. Robotnik. He does.
He literally does. And the interview, he's just telling some old guy story.
Yeah, it wasn't interesting.
Mm-mm.
Not at all.
The interviews with him make me think, like, what, y'all are calling him a genius? Like, I don't know, man. I think he's a grumpy old man who likes fantasy.
Hey, is that it?
I guess.
Yeah, we have 8 minutes.
I mean, it's pretty short. Why don't we say what we're reading now?
That's what I was cut off.
Well, we did the one thing, now we're doing the other thing.
All right, so the other thing, picked up The Sleepwalkers.
Show them how thick it is.
By Christopher Clark. Last, I read a big history of World War II last October. So I figured this October I'll read a World War I thing. I read the introduction last night. It seems like it'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll remain interesting. It's very long. But we'll do. I almost didn't pick up this book, though, because of this quote by Nigel Ferguson. Christopher Clark has written the most readable account of the origins of the First World War since Barbara Tuchman's The Guns of August.
Which you read.
Which I read. The difference is that The Sleepwalkers is a lovingly researched work of the highest scholarship. It is hard to believe we will ever see a better narrative of what perhaps was the biggest collective blunder in the history of international relations, which is pretty shady towards Barbara Tuchman, who I really liked. So, I'm going to read this book, but if you haven't read any World War I history books, start with Barbara Tuchman and not The Sleepwalkers, based on account of this kind of pompous quote by Niall Ferguson.
Well, maybe you'll change your mind when you read it.
It does. The introduction was pretty good. So we'll see. But read Barbara Tuchman's The Guns of August.
Good hot take. I'm just going to say hot take.
Hot take.
I'm currently reading Jamaica Kincaid's The Autobiography of My Mother. Did I talk about this?
Mm-mm.
I felt like I talked about it.
You talked to me about him.
I've read, she's real famous for one of her short works. Is it called Girl? What is it called? Something like that. Very good. I'm liking it quite a bit. She is very polarizing. I.e., tons of people hate the shit out of her because she's an angry woman she's an angry black woman who's like mad about being mistreated in her you know.
I wonder what she has to be angry about. If there's any, I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm loving it. It's real weird, freaky deaky. She's a very unique main character, and you definitely feel like you're peeking into some weird shit.
I look forward to a review.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
All right, that's it. Thank you for
watching.
Bye.